NAB and video.
Let's do this. They're very nice to give us these chairs. Great chairs,
Yeah,
very
I'm so glad to be
comfortable.
sitting down, honestly.
What are your, like, and I can start, some
Yeah,
of your
totally.
favorite things, or maybe some of the trends that you're seeing
Yeah,
this year?
go for it, yeah.
I would say for me, I literally wrote VR, 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 VR. Every other booth, it seems like, has VR, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I took this video, and we'll show this video, but essentially, Tim, I don't know if you remember, but like when the motion capture required the famous green suits.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, take a look at this video that we're going to be playing here, and this one is going to be it's live. They don't need to wear the suits anymore.
Right.
And so it's amazing what this technology is doing, but it's still not there yet. It's getting closer and closer.
Right.
But it's really cool the fact that the VR, they don't need their suits anymore.
Right, right.
So, and then also with LED walls, tracking with the cameras and motion tracking, it's just becoming much better and better, and many more folks are, you know, I've seen a lot more expos and booths there.
So I have some sort of meta trends. One of the things is there's a lot of back and forth about virtual, right? And I think in the events industry, we're seeing that with clients who are like, we're fully in person, and some clients who are like, we're fully virtual again. At the show, I'm seeing a lot of interest in things like this, right? The remote production tools, and I'm seeing a ton of like cloud-based switching software. You know, Epiphan Connect is one of those with the contribution tools, but I'm seeing so many of these products that are really have matured, right, in the last few years, and a lot of companies are really bringing those to the show and talking about them here. And then, you know, I think there's a really an interest in the remote production from, at this point, an efficiency and cost perspective, right? It's much less about like the public health crisis, and now it's about how do we get more video out in the world. I mean, we do a remote production ourselves for this podcast for that reason, and so it's really interesting to see that. As much as this is a broadcast like TV show with cameras and and tripods and like infrastructure, there's a lot of these tools that are really helping people do production over the internet.
Absolutely. I mean, that's literally what is taking place right now.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally.
Producer Dan is somewhere, you know, not here. I mean, he could be on the other side of the wall. I mean, he's not, but he's not. But, you know, and it's basically, we're just bringing in, you know, it really emphasizes that the remote production, the decentralized production studio, or the centralized master control room, and then you send out your equipment.
Yeah.
I've been having conversations with different booths of you know, different ways to do that. SRT, NDI, you know, what's the most professional, reliable way for multiple cameras to go, you know, if shows coming up in New York and Miami, do we send the full production crew out there, or do we just send the camera operator?
And I've talked to a couple different companies on both sides of that equation here, talking about, you know, in one case, a large production company that is contracting smaller production companies to provide their on-site support, you know, at events, and then another company that provides like production kits, and they are that smaller company that's providing really nimble teams to do that contribution over a higher quality video link. And
that's one of my things that I saw a lot of this year that I haven't seen in previous NABs is remote production in a box.
Totally.
Right. So the Pelican opens up, the camera. I was talking with some of the attendees and friends here, and they're still, you know, remote production is still going strong. They're still shipping out camera kits.
Totally.
And so now it's becoming a more professional solution.
Totally. And for the clients, it's cost effectiveness, right? You're sending a kit and maybe one person, maybe no one, to, you know, these talent's house or talent's location, and so you can do a multi-site production with a really lean crew, and then you're switching it from a central control room.
What's your thoughts on when they become, like, you're sending a client a giant Pelican case? Like, what's that user experience? You literally, the thing is like an old-fashioned, like the size of a trunk, like it's probably like 50 pounds.
And then like
do you
putting
give them a
coffee
back brace like before they lift? Put it on your nice table.
Right, exactly.
What do you tell them?
I feel like it makes a lot of sense when you're sending it to an end client or a talent's house to send us a tech with it. I think where those kits make sense potentially to send without a tech, where for at least the companies that make them, is, you know, when you're sending it to like us, right? When Argus is doing a production out of your studio and you need a camera in New York, maybe you're sending your own tech right to that, and the box just gets sent to the FedEx store. So that makes more sense in that context. I do feel a little weird sending this giant box to like a the talent's house and expecting them to put it together on their own.
And I think that's a good takeaway in the sense that it's not zero hands on deck. And I think that point needs to be emphasized.
Right.
There's still a team. That team may be one person on site, but really that team is, it's not just, I want to say it's not just magic buttons, but literally, Tim, I'm seeing like remote teleprompter controls now, remote mics that is super, like literally the teleprompter go beep, beep. It doesn't do that. I'm adding that for dramatic effect right now.
Absolutely.
Beep, beep, but the teleprompter comes in, the microphone on a stick, it's...
Telescopes up,
It telescopes up.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are cool for like schools or different places where you're going to have a centralized control.
So I was talking to one of those remote camera kit companies, a company called Remote Control, so shout out to Bill Davis from Remote Control Kits. And I was talking to him this morning about his kits, which are a little different. They're a little more assembled, like you sort of have to put it, but they have a teleprompter with a camera, mounted like a mirrorless camera onto the back. And it's designed, for this kind of thing, where, you set up the kit, typically either he's going to send a tech or he sends it to someone like us and we send a tech. But, so it's not necessarily, end user proof, but it's really designed to have really high quality video, the built-in teleprompter, and it's designed for, he's seeing that so much where like, you have a CEO doing a presentation and they send this kit out so that, he or she looks really good on that presentation remotely. And like they don't want to give them back. Their rentals, they don't want, they can't keep them. But they don't want to give them back. And
Really?
But then, and obviously his kids, but like all the kids, right? That the executives love it because
that's great.
They look good. They feel comfortable with the teleprompter, and so it's really a great way, to make them feel comfortable in their own office, because a lot of people are saying like, hey, we built the studio, but the exec doesn't want to come into the studio.
The technology is so good right now, and it's only getting better. And it's like we keep saying that every year. It's like the way we did productions is not the way we're going to be doing productions. Productions in a box, is essentially that might be the theme of this year. Production in a box,
right? Well, in this scale, I mean, we're literally talking on these cameras that are like a little cube, right? I mean, the cameras we're using in this studio, and like
they're
it's
tiny.
Amazing, like how small like broadcast cameras have gotten, right?
If you didn't look at the cameras, you wouldn't even notice them.
No, totally.
They blend into the background.
And I think that as we think about the way productions evolve, and obviously this trade show has been around for 100 years. Some of the companies that are exhibiting here have been around for almost 100 years. The people who are in the broadcast space have seen the evolution of the industry from like the origins of television, right? And so it's really cool to be at this show where there is that legacy, where you run into somebody from like CBS who like pioneered sports TV. Like it's really cool to be in this environment where we're all working towards the same goal of making broadcast better.
And that's really a lot of the goal, and I would say the draw, I would say, of NAB is that energy, like the conversations that are happening that are not, that you couldn't necessarily have on Zoom. So now I think it's like Zoom production in a box. We understand it as a tool when it's the right time. But I remember us talking about this during the pandemic. Is that productions, are live events going away? And you're like, they're never going away.
No,
you can't. Human experience.
We want that connection, right?
We do.
And so much of this show is, it's really exciting for me to be here, I should say, right? Because I'm feeling like, we're walking around and like it's a reunion. We're seeing all these people that, we only see once a year, or that some people that I've never met in person before. And it's like, oh, you're in 3D, and it's that connection and, the people that,
connection and networking
like,
that takes place.
And so much of it happens on the show floor, but so much of it happens, frankly, at the restaurant and bar after the show, where, it's those people that we really connect with. And it's really great to me to be here this year. This year feels different for me, honestly. I don't know how this feels to you.
It does. I mean, after last year, it felt like it was, there was was it post-surge? Like we just had a little bit, and then I felt like it was a light, the exhibitor count was smaller.
Yeah.
The attendee count was small. I think it was might have been a shorter. You can fact check me on that.
I don't remember the
Let's
dates,
just say it is. But it definitely didn't. This feels, and I remember, that's a great point. I was commenting to somebody else. This feels like it was before the pandemic.
It does. This feels like
full
2019,
steam ahead.
Right? This
correct.
feels like we're making the connections, we're having the conversations,
Yep.
we're having so many amazing, like, inspired conversations with people,
Yep.
and you know,
And just use your hand sanitizer. That's like what
Yeah.
I'm using, more hand
Yeah,
sanitizer than
totally,
2019.
yeah.
That's the main difference.
But it's been amazing to have conversations like this with everyone. We're all like,
Everybody.
where are you? And it's, like I said about the industry, I feel like this show is about the industry coming together to be better. And as much as so many people here are in competition, I am feeling such a camaraderie here, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
maybe it's competition between like different manufacturers,
Canon and JVC
and
or whatever,
as
right?
it is like vendors, like if we were all to get together
Yeah.
in Expo, like why you
Yeah.
should go with ours. But yeah, there is definitely a camaraderie that exists amongst the industry.
Totally. And I
With-
feel that in person here. It's so great, you know?
So one other one that I found, a theme of this show, robo cameras are
RoboCams, yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're getting super cheap.
They are.
It's unbelievable, and the remote control of those robo cameras, which has been around for a little bit of time, but I feel like it's breaking through sort of a gravitational
Yeah.
pull that
Totally.
I'm now seeing like booth after booth after booth of robotic cameras. And
Right.
and I will say this for folks that are interested in the robo cameras, you do get what you pay for. So buy at your budget. And I think that's the biggest advice. If you're looking at we bought the Sony FR7s, right? And they're about $10,000 to $12,000 a camera. We could have easily gone, a couple booths over and got a $2,000 camera or a $1,000. And I'll tell you what, those actually have Sony chips in them as well. So it's not like, you're just throwing extra money out there just because. You're getting value with it. So
Right, and obviously that camera in particular, you have the interchangeable lenses and the more sort of cinema-style shooting in a PTZ body. There's a lot of innovation in that at both ends of the market, right? There's innovation that Sony's pushing the envelope of what PTZ can be, and then the
so
companies at
true.
the lower end are pushing how can we
The
get
budget.
the budget. But honestly, you're getting a lot of camera for that $2,000.
It's unbelievable.
Right? And
Yes.
so it's obviously right. You're not going to get the same picture out of those cameras, but it is particularly if you're looking at
Correct.
like a conference room,
Boardroom,
right? Like you can get
City
you can
hall
get a lot
meetings,
of camera for
a
$3,000 or
lot of-
$4,000. Yeah,
a lot of $3,000 and $4,000. Yeah, you're getting
Yeah.
a pretty decent one. I mean, even $1,000
Yeah.
now, and you just run one, Cat 5 or Cat 6
Yeah.
cable, depending on the model,
Right.
And then you're controlling everything about
Speaking
it.
of the Cat 5, right, this IP broadcast. So, NDI 2110. I mean, Blackmagic just announced a 2110.
They're holding
encoder.
hard to. They're going the SMPTE route.
Yeah.
Blackmagic's going
Yeah.
SMPTE. NewTek is going NDI.
Yeah, well, Newtek invented NDI.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's probably why they're sticking
Right,
with
right.
it.
But-
Shocking.
But we're seeing, there's a lot of discussion, both at the sort of NDI, hardware level, kind of broad landscape, and the 2110 like infrastructure level, building a studio. And that we're seeing, Ravana, which is 2110 and AES67 in one, connection. We're seeing so many, standards on the market, so many ways to do high quality video over a local network, and then
So many.
with products,
Yes.
right, that are doing the network video over the internet video, both teleconferencing and long range, right, and like bridging NDI over the
Correct.
internet. There's so many ways to get video.
So many ways
And we
to
talked
do it.
about
So many
remote production.
flavors of ways
Right.
to do it
and
too.
we're talking about remote. I mean, you and I spent a lot of time last year looking at
Yep.
satellite and phone and cellular connections, right? We talked about that on other episodes. Tell me about what you've seen in the cellular space. You invested in cellular last year or this
Yes.
last year.
Yes,
what have
I
you
did.
seen in that market here at the show today?
I'm seeing it's becoming a lot more cost effective. I'm seeing more and more players come into the space, which is only going to benefit, the production companies, when that ultimately benefits our clients and
Totally.
customers, because we can now lower the price.
Totally.
Instead of renting them a piece of equipment that costs $50,000, we can rent them something that's $5,000, or just before this, I was talking to different vendors of like
Yeah.
$100 a month solution.
Totally.
There's so many different ways to approach it, and I would say for those folks that this is of interest to them, is make sure that you do your research in it, make sure you run testing on it. Get the shiny pamphlets, because those are a great
Yeah.
starting, get them on your radar, but then
Totally.
after that, I want to start running tests. We're going to
Yeah.
have production companies in New York that,
Right.
I want to, okay, let's test our signal. Let's
Totally.
leave it up for 24 hours.
And I think with that, with SLR Technologies, it, there's differences in the encoding, there's differences in the actual cellular modem technology, and there's differences in the antennas. And it's really important to understand the landscape that you're using it in, right? Are you using it on a ship in the ocean, like being back to shore? Are you using it in the middle of Manhattan? Are you using it, in LA, or are you using it, in like a cornfield? Because those are really different environments with different like radio landscapes, and you have to understand those three components in terms of like your actual use case before you pick which is the best.
And I'm going to add a fourth component to that is also the level of production that you're doing, the mission critical failure rate of that, because I would love to use a lot of these $100 subscription a month options that exist right now. I just understand, and I don't feel confident yet to my client that all the other money they invested in their show is I can guarantee them 100% video signal that's up for 8 hours, 10 hours a day.
That's a very interesting point, and kind of looking at this show, there's a really wide breadth of technologies at all the product offerings, right? Where there's a ton of products targeted at podcasting and YouTube kind of things, and there's a ton of products that are targeted at like NBC and CNN broadcasters, and it's I think looking at the product landscape, you have to think about your production. In the event space, right, we use products kind of across that gamut for different purposes. And so really understanding in every production, what is the specific thing we're doing and how mission critical is it before we pick a technology and a price point for that technology. And
I'm going to say, to get a little philosophical on what you're saying there, Tim, because I agree with that, is I always use the analogy that filmmaking has been out of the hands of the artist. It always required collaboration. It always required a ton of money. It always required expensive equipment. We're now finally at the point in time where filmmaking is affordable. We're now at the point of time where live events and video production is affordable to everybody. And so I think with that, to echo your point, understand your budget, understand where you're going in, and then hit that target.
Totally. And obviously a lot of it can be done on your phone, right? I mean, you can do a tremendously high quality production on
which we did last year with Tim and Tim Talk, NAB. Wait, that was actually our first person in there.
Oh, that was,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So with that, Tim, we're almost done here.
Yeah.
What's your plan? This is, by the way, day 3. We wanted to wait to get sort of the gist and the energy before we came and talked to everybody here.
We want to see the show before we tell you about the show. Exactly. So you're asking, what's your question? What do I see next?
What's on your agenda? You got another day here. Yeah. What's your focus?
So
you're running out of time.
For me was meetings, and it was like sitting down, having a really conversation about business. Today for me is exploring, right? I really didn't get to explore yesterday. So today for me is wandering by the booths, like saying hi to my friends who happen to be, in town or on the show, like the organic hallway conversations. Today for me is about the discovery. And what I love about the trade show environment is the organic discovery where I walk by and that caught my eye. What was that? Tell me about this thing, right?
Yeah, make sure you stop, make sure and that's one of the things how many times do you do this, Tim, where you're just like,
oh yeah, there's I don't really want the exhibitor to know that I'm looking, I'm not ready to commit to even a conversation, but
fine.
I'm like,
okay, I'm coming in.
It's sort of like, don't scan my badge, don't scan my badge.
Those emails last for months.
So I'll tell you a secret, Tim.
Go ahead.
And because I'm announcing this on my podcast, but I
made
an email address just for this show.
You made an event specific email. It's not a fake one.
It's real. It goes to my inbox, but it's Tim NAB23.
Genius.
So I know
Why have I not done this yet?
I know that they added me from the show.
Why have I not done this? Next year, Tim.
Tim, NAB24.
Yeah. I'm in it. I think for myself, it's definitely echoing what you're saying. I have with the Remy Productions, I have more conversations with folks, and so I'm going to make my way over to that booth, and just try to discover new options in that space.
It's about, to me, today is organic. Today is, let's see what it feels like. Let's see where people are. And I'm going to take it slow, because yesterday I was hitting the show hard, and I was exhausted by the end of the day.
Tim, as much as I love chatting with you over here, we have work to do.
We have work to do.
Not just here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you to Epiphan for hosting us here in their booth.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that.
And with that, Tim.
I mean, I would say first, before we get out of here, we should invite folks to, we always love comments, suggestions. If you have a show idea, if you want to be a part of the show, hit us up on one of the socials that you're seeing there. Share it if you feel that there's somebody that you feel wants some advice with to come to NAB in the future, or just I feel like it's just good general conference advice that we gave that's applicable to everybody.
And actually, if you're going to be at NAB 2024, obviously it's a little early, but let us know. Reach out to us next year, and we'll try to meet up with you at the show. We should do like
a reminder. We should. The meetup would be a great idea. A lot of meetups this year. We love them.
And we'll put our email address here. It's Tim's TIMS at timandtimtalk.com. That goes to both of us. We fight over Rochambeau for who answers the emails.
I mean, listen. I always say I want to do it, but you want to reach out. You want to communicate.
We're all about that connection. So, Tim, anything else we got to say here?
I think that's it. We're just an exciting floor. You can probably hear it in the buzz.
Absolutely.
Let's get out of there. So I say, my name is Tim K.
And I'm Tim Kerbavas,
and we
talked. Yes,
we were close
so
because
close.
we're in person. We did it.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks.